Confucius once said, Saturdays are for the boys, Fridays are for the fathers, but Thursdays are for the thoughts. We're looking at you, Instagram followers, and I'm talking about you ladies. Welcome to the Dadbodd podcast, episode number 87. I am Guns Picks, and I am joined by my guy. I'm not talking about lock bets. I'm talking about, this is a pun in the gun show.
God, it's been a long time, dude.
It's been a long time, and I am loving this scenario right now. We have a great guest coming up too.
Yes.
There's so many segments, so much to pack into one episode, but I need to know what's going on, my friend.
What's up, dude? Just sad I couldn't make it last week. Dealt with COVID in the house, so that kind of sucked.
Shout out COVID.
I know. Wife got it. First timers club for her, which props to her for taking that long to get it. But the rest of my family stayed healthy. She's healthy. And now I'm back on the show.
Bam,
so we what did I miss? What did I miss while I was gone? I kind of listened on and off to you and Locke, and of course I edited it and put the podcast up. But looks like we got a new segment.
We got a new segment. We're gonna do that as the show goes on. I mean, there's not a lot. It's the hurricane. It's the lull before the hurricane. You know what I mean? It's like you had the All-Star break. You have MLB kind of back tonight, but it really revs up tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
You really have one sport to bet on, and then you're looking at the end of July. So you have a lot of teams going into training camp. So if anybody is an NFL enthusiast, that's probably you'll have your channel on the NFL Network probably all day on a Saturday in the background while you're doing your regular stuff.
It's almost, I say almost because I'm a kind of a crammer, but it's almost time to get going get prepping for your fantasy stuff almost, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Most drafts are going to happen. I know some people draft in July, lock bets.
Right.
But
how do you draft in July and nobody shows up?
I don't know. But did you see his tweet? Speaking of fantasy drafts, did you see his tweet about the last place person in his?
No, I missed it.
So he put a deal out. I was hoping to get some comments, and I hope he did. But it was about what's last place. What do you call it? Last place finisher, reprimands or punishment for getting last place. And in his league, they go out. I guess they stay in a cabin in the woods at somebody's land, and they get paintball shit, and they make that last place finisher go hide, and they give him 10 minutes to hide, and then everybody finds them and just pelts them with paintballs.
Oh, it's surviving the game.
Basically.
Nice tea.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty funny. I think Walt got
funny.
I think he got last place. So maybe we can get some GoPro cam footage or something.
See, I'm an asshole. If I had the paintball gun, I would freeze the balls and I'd really give them some welts.
We had talked about some punishments in our league. But the weird thing about punishments is the person that gets last has to do it, or else it doesn't matter.
Yes.
And I feel like most of these punishments, the guys would be like, fuck that. I'm not that into this league anyway. But half the league would be like, yeah, I'm all in. Half of them was always kind of out.
Mm-hmm.
But we were thinking about making the last place guy be the valet for the draft.
Yeah.
Because I think we're gonna get an oyster shucker this year. We're doing it up. Well, valet and oyster shucker.
I think the best
cocktails.
Yeah, I think the best way to really give somebody a punishment is you have a fantasy football dinner, and you go to a restaurant, some high end, maybe even a chain, whatever you guys want to do, and then make the loser pay.
Yeah,
because I think that one is simple enough that you won't have anybody back out unless they're.
I've also liked the champions dinner idea. With if you haven't won your fantasy football league, you don't get invited to the dinner. Where you have to be the waiter,
right.
The waiting staff, something like that. But anyway, we can talk about that later as we get closer to football. But when I talked about Locke, I saw that Twitter thread and I thought it was pretty funny. But
so we have a really packed show. We're kind of cramming a lot of stuff in right now. I want to get to the ad read and then we'll get into the fun stuff. So let's get our boys in here for Viva Seltzers. This podcast is sponsored by Viva Tequila Seltzers. That's right. This podcast is sponsored by Viva Tequila Seltzers. Viva Tequila Seltzers is a refreshing and drinkable hard seltzer, 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and 4.5 ABV. Viva is the perfect drink for your post-game celebrations as it was created for the active lifestyle in mind. Viva flavors of tequila because flavor is the spice of life, and they like their drinks with a kick just as they like to live their lives. Viva flavors pairs perfectly with their artisanal Blanco tequila for a subtle and refreshing drink. Their belief is to live long, live well, and live it up. Hashtag Viva Up, and check them out on Twitter at Viva Seltzer. And I saw they threw a massive party.
Yeah, when do we get our next shipment in?
Yeah, and for the fact that I have to ask them. The fact that we didn't get invited to that party is a travesty to the Dadbodd podcast, but we will take it as a.
We'll take it as a next time. We'll take it as a next time. They know now. They know we want to go now. They probably were a little embarrassed to ask us. Thought we were a little too big league. But
yeah, that's correct.
But no,
and with the sponsored podcast, they get sponsored segments. And if you watch the Dadbodd podcast, this is a new segment. I like to call it, in short, the NBFF, but it is the nuke, bet, fade,
forget.
So today's category for the NBFF is MLB. Why? Because it just came back second half of the season, and you really get the bare bones of where teams are going to be in the back half of the season.
And this is a good one to do. This is a good one to do too, because it was easy for me to do because it's fresh in my brain.
Yes, correct. And I think it's a live sport. There's minimal thinking about each four of those picks, in my opinion.
Right.
So I'll start with you, Pun. Let's start with a nuke.
Okay, nuke. You want me to say Nerfies, but it's not going to be a Nerfie. You do not nuke it. Only idiots nuke Nerfies. As you know from my Twitter, I've been screwing with that.
Well,
anyway,
I don't know. I think you mainlined the Nerfie a couple times, and you may be addicted. But go ahead.
Oh, I'm totally addicted. But it doesn't mean you should nuke them. All right.
Yeah, correct.
So my nuke are Coors Field away team totals at 6.5. Okay. So if the away team's team total is 6.5, you bet the under at Coors Field. This season, it's 17-5. So I don't think it's held that strong over previous years. I didn't go back and look at it, but just this season, because I think that's kind of how you have to look at stats like this. If you take the away team at 6.5 under at Coors Field, you're 17-5 this season. And honestly, if you take all 6.5s, you're like 19-6. If you take all 6.5 unders, wow. But almost all of them are at Coors Field. They involve the away team is at Coors Field. So that's my nuke it. If you see a 6.5 line for the away team at Coors Field, nuke that shit.
That's good information too.
Yeah, because it's like it goes opposite of your head because you're thinking Coors Field.
Yep. You're thinking over.
You're thinking over. Nobody's thinking under. So I think the team totals it's just getting amped up. It's the 6.5. It should be more like 5.5, but because they're at Coors Field, they add a run, and it just isn't correlating yet. So you might see less of those as the year goes on because of that stat. But that's my little nuke stat of the day.
Great stat.
Thank you.
I thought about this nuke for a lot of ways. I thought it to be comical, and I thought maybe I should really give him something. So I'm going to do this one. I'm gonna do my nuke is fading the Detroit Tigers on the road first 5 innings. It is
Unless they play the Athletics.
Unless they, well, and I was going to get to that too. So based on my tracking of the Detroit Tigers, they are 8-27 on the road in first 5 innings. Now 9-27 because they're playing in Athletics. Right. So I think this weekend, or if they got a series, I didn't see if they're going to play. I think that this day was more makeup games.
Yeah, it looked like it was these weird doubleheaders.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be playing this weekend. But if they're playing on the road, don't even think about who's pitching. Just take the other team. And that is, I probably should have made this my fade. And I was like, this is the bet that I don't have to think. I just look at their record. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's Detroit on the road. At home, they're a little bit more 50-50. But when they're on the road, they are so bad. So ridiculous, especially with school. And in Scuvall is 1-7 in F5s. Now he's 2-7 after today. So it's one of those situations where Detroit plays better at home than they do on the road. Give me Detroit F5 as my nuke on the road.
I like it. I like that a lot. And Detroit is a team I think a lot of people thought were going to be a lot better this year than they are.
Right.
So
all right, let's go into bet.
All right, so it's another team total stat, and it came to fruition today. It's take the Astros team total under when they're facing a left-handed pitcher. That's my bet for MLB. All right.
I love the lefty versus righty, but good. Yeah,
because they're like it's 21-10 this year.
Yep.
When they're facing a lefty starter, home or away. Obviously they faced a lefty today. I think was it Montgomery in the first game?
Yep. Was it Montgomery or
they won 3-2, so that went under 3.5.
Yep.
And I gave that out as a free play on Twitter, and it was a plus money. It was plus money as well. So you're getting these kind of key bet spots that are still plus money when I think the line should have been a little bit different. So that's my in the Astros, especially when you pair it with a 3.5 at home. The Astros just don't hit very good pitching at home. They don't score a lot at home versus good pitching this season. Now, I'm not saying they don't win those games. They just win 3-1, 4-1, 2-1. They don't score in bunches in that situational spot. So bet the Astros team total under versus left-handed pitchers, home or away. And then you nuke it if it's 3.5 at home.
You nuke it with a Nerfy, and it's so sus, it's goated. My bet it was kind of tough.
I know it's hard to find a spot on baseball because there's so many scenarios.
Yep.
Right.
I think I'm going to be comical on this one. So my bet is
my next one's comical. So is
the Yankees don't get past the first round in the postseason. I don't. I would. You know what? I thought about this as I had my ride home. I was talking to my.
You can't say that. You got to be there first round because they're gonna get a bye.
Okay, fair. Whenever they play in a round,
I don't want anybody to come back and
So playoffs are made. Playoffs? No, they're made for pitching. They're made for good pitching staffs. They're made for depth. The Yankees only have bats. Okay, what they're doing right now,
pitching is great, right?
What, the Yankees?
Yeah.
What? To whom?
What's their
they
ERA?
have? Cole. Name who they
ERA?
have. Cole, Cortez, Montgomery, Talion.
Herman.
Who else?
Herman.
Yeah, Herman. Has he played much this year? No.
And their bullpen is locked down.
Look at the other teams.
I'm a Red Sox fan too, but I don't think their pitching is that bad.
No, but their bats are great. I think it's gonna really hurt them. And you see what the Houston Astros are doing to them consistently in series. You know why? Good pitching staff.
That's their only depth, and that's what it takes to beat them. That's the only team I think that can beat them.
So So seeing the Yankees doing what they do,
Yeah.
I think that they're going to have an inflated ego going into the playoffs. And I think the fan base is the way the New York fan base is. They're going to get very hyped about their team winning so many games,
right.
and then they're going to get buried by, I don't know, Tampa, Houston, or somebody that they hit in that American League realm in the playoffs. I think this is one of those teams. It feels like one of those teams. I don't care about your bats. I care about your pitching. I don't think they get to the World Series.
Yeah, maybe. I think that's probably.
And I think there's
I hope
value
you're
in
right.
that.
I hope you're right. Let's just say that. We'll revisit it when
Don't be
playoff time.
optimistic.
I hope
It's not going
right.
to happen.
I hope you're right. I hope you're not.
All right. Give me your.
So my fade is betting on any team in the NL or AL Central. It's just like toss a coin. Which team is going to decide they want to hit today? That's all it is. It's every team is the exact fucking same. They're all boring. I guess the Cardinals maybe are the outlier there, but even with all those bats, they fucking can't hit half the time. So the NL AL Central just to me is you got the Twins, the Guardians in the AL Central who are just blah, right? The White Sox, who the hell knows you're going to get with the White Sox? They're all just you don't know what you're going to get with any of those teams, in my opinion. Even the bad teams like the Reds, I mean, they're playing a lot better.
Right.
They can beat anybody on any given day. So the AL and NL Central can just, fuck off, in my opinion. They're irrelevant to baseball this year. No need to even watch those games.
Fair point. So my fade on this one is, man, I've been thinking about this one long and hard. No pun intended. Shut up, pun. Wow. So I think
this is a hard
one. My fade is when Adon for the Washington Nationals pitches in a first five situation, home or away, you always fade him. That is an automatic. Doesn't matter who the pitching matchup is. I don't even care if it's a bullpen game. You fade Adon, ADON, and
so no matter who they play, you're playing.
He plays for the Washington Nationals.
You're playing the other team.
Yeah, and he used to be Dallas Keuchel, and I think Dallas Keuchel kind of fell into that category too. But I guess he doesn't have a team
last
anymore.
Year or a couple years ago.
So Adon, the fact that he still is a pitcher in Major League is crazy to me because I every statistic with him, at least in the first five situation, and I know that maybe it's like I only watch the first five innings of any game in MLB anymore. I don't care about the end. Adon is
you're weird.
The GOAT as far as F5 is concerned. As far
What's
as
his
fading.
record?
What's that?
What's the record?
He's only won, I think, one game.
What's your record fading him?
My record fading him, I've bet every single Adon game, and I've been on the opposite side. So 7-1 or 8-1 or whatever. I can't remember how many times he's pitched, but it's on that category. I think he's only won one F5 this year.
Sometimes I wonder about these stats, and I like these stats too, but when do they flip? When do they, get closer to even?
We got to keep it moving. We have our guests here, so I'm just.
All right, so forget. All right, my forget. Nerfies, forget them.
Oh, fuck
no
you,
runs,
man. Why did you do that? Because that was mine. You bastard.
Well, you can do your fees.
All right, no, I guess we're going to collab on that one.
They're a coin flip. They're just a coin flip bet. They're fun because you get them out of the way early. Yeah. And they make you watch the first inning of a game that you would normally watch with some intent. But they're a coin flip. Now, are there situational spots where a Nerfie is good? Yes. Like I think the All-Star game, I think, was a good Nerfie spot, but it didn't hit. So yeah, there's good spots, and I'm going to continue to post good spots that I like just to see if I can gain any momentum with it. But no, I don't think they're by any means are good bets. Are they fun bets? Yes. Are they
Yes.
good bets?
Recreational bets.
No.
So I'm going to collab with you on that one, and I'll tell you why. It's like
Nerfies are
everything that the book loves. You know why? Because they juice it to the side that they lean on very
Right.
heavily, and then
Right.
they force a casual bettor to take the plus. And that's where they make their money. It's almost like a slot machine. So if you're putting a couple bucks in a slot machine, you're pulling the lever, it's no different than taking a Nerfy bet. And you can tell by the people that really are influencers in gambling Twitter, they always promote Nerfies. It is a sign that you should not ever take them. Now, are there people that have systems? Absolutely. But I think it's a small percentage that actually excel and profit off this type of bet. And I hate it. I'm disgusted by it, but that's my opinion. We welcome yours. I hate Nerfies. That's the forget it for me. So I hear a knock on the door. Let's get to it.
Oh, you know that sound. That means the dads have a special guest ready to join the show. Let's tune in and see who it could be.
This is a very special guest for the Dadbodd podcast. So this guy is the co-host of Sports Gambling Podcast, co-founder of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, host of Daily Juice on betpros.com, diehard Eagles fan, boo, has a stand-up album that I found out called This Loss Hurts Us that you can find on Spotify and Apple Music.
He is he's stationed at Los Angeles, California. Please welcome for the first time on the Dadbodd podcast, Sean Green. What's going on, my friend? Welcome to the podcast.
What's happening? Thanks for having me on, dads. Appreciate
What's up,
it.
dude?
Appreciate the Nerfy talk. I was actually on the Nerfy for the All-Star game. Let the record.
Oh, you were nice. Well, that was a nice pick.
But I thought it was Kershaw that was going to give up the run, and then Ohtani gets picked off at first, and I think I'm totally screwed. Luckily, they bailed me out the bottom of the first there.
Dude, I thought the same exact thing because I thought, well, Kershaw is going to be the one that gives it up. Once you get past that, for now, it just went. It went all to hell when the AL took the at bat, and then the AL won the game again. So that was another streak that kept going.
Yeah. I don't need that quick fix of like having a baseball game is long enough. I just cut it in half and I just do the F5. But doing a Nerfy, I mean, you have to have a certain amount of.
They're pretty fun. I will say it kind of stresses you out a little bit,
right?
Yeah, it's like the first touchdown bet in the NFL.
Yeah,
but not the crazy payouts. I mean, I'm a sucker for a first touchdown bet in like primetime games. Like a Sunday night, Monday night playoffs. I actually was on a nice little run with some first touchdown stuff in the playoffs. Had been playing a bunch of like tight end stuff that hit. That was pretty nice. So yeah, again, they're not like great plays long term, but they're certainly fun.
So the way we start the podcast, or any guest that comes on, we always ask, like, how did you get into the gambling industry, and how did you actually create this conglomerate known as the Sports Gambling Network?
Yeah, like no one's referred to us as a conglomerate. I appreciate that. We've gotten so big.
An empire? Can I say that?
No, they're all good. I just never had heard conglomerate before. I like it though. It's good.
It was the word of the day on my calendar. So
okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Good use of the calendar. Yeah. So me and my buddy started Sports Gambling Podcast in 2011, just because my buddy's a Giants fan. I'm an Eagles fan. We're two guys from the East Coast living in LA. Everyone thought we were crazy because we wanted to watch every single game on DirecTV on an NFL Sunday and bet on all of them. And then we're like, hey, we should just, we should try and get something out of this. So we started doing a podcast, and that was all the way back in 2011. And then, just slowly grinded it out over the years. And like end of 2017, launched the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. And then kind of just from doing it, a lot of listeners reached out, or other people we know in the gambling world, like, hey, I really know MMA, or I really know hockey. And then we bring them on, set them up, get them a show specific to the sport they really know. And then, yeah, been growing it ever since.
Isn't it funny how in 2011 people thought you were crazy?
Oh yeah.
And now, like for crazy for wanting to watch every game and bet on every game.
Yeah.
And also talk about every game. And now it's just normalcy.
No, I mean, one, no one knew what a podcast was in 2011.
True.
Two, everyone thought it's like gambling's illegal. Why would you want to talk about something that's illegal that you can only do in Vegas? Like, this makes no sense. And now it's big business. Like, you can't even turn on a game without seeing an advertisement for a sports book. It's really come full circle. It's pretty insane.
I noticed have you noticed a boost in the podcast viewership or listeners just based on the fact that countrywide that a lot of people have not only started getting into gambling, but it's legal virtually 75% of the states?
Yeah, I mean, California and Texas are like the two major states that are still holding out right now. Right. I'm sure, the rest of the states, it's kind of just a matter of time, it seems like, when they'll legalize. But yeah, I mean, all the interest in gambling has been great for us. There's certainly way more content options, but then there's way more people interested in sports gambling content. And yeah, we continue to grow year after year. And yeah, we got a great little crew of listeners and people making stuff for us. So it's been awesome.
Yeah, I like so I listened. So I started listening to your show today because we were having you on, and I really liked it. And I messaged Guns, and he'll tell me. I said, "This is what I wish our show was."
We're getting there,
but because it's guys talking, really that are knowledgeable.
Yeah.
And then you have some funny shit, happening with, funny sounds and drops and shit like that. Right. And then awesome guests. So it's kind of, what I think everybody's trying to do. And you guys seem to be doing it really well. When you first started, how did you kind of reach out and try to get guests? Were you just hammering emails, calling? I mean, 2011 versus now is a different way of reaching out to people. I get that. But I mean, what was your hit rate on trying to get people? Because you guys have had some awesome guests.
Yeah, each kind of I like people ask that a lot because they're like, how do you book your guests? And it's really each guest is kind of a different story how we get them. For Coach Leach, like we wrote an article, our college football guy Colby, who's he was a massive Coach Leach fan and like wrote a college football rankings list. And had Coach Leach really high up, and it got picked up by Washington State's like subreddit or something. And then the AD reached out and was like, hey, really like the article. If you ever want to talk to Coach Leach, he'd be down. And we had him on. It was a great interview. And then he invited us up to go hang out up at Wazoo and watch a game and hang out.
That's what you want. That's what you want. You want organic. You want it to happen organically like that. You want people to come on to your show, right?
Totally. And then in the pandemic too, it seemed like the pandemic was actually a good time to get a lot of these guests because they had nothing else to do like everyone else. So, we had guys on like Joe Theismann, who's a character, and really enjoy having him on our show, and a bunch of other random athletes that maybe wouldn't have even responded or responded to the email or Twitter or whatever. And it kind of just depends. I mean, to your point, like there isn't one set way. I mean, just knowing a bunch of people, having a good presence online, that really puts you in a good spot. And then, having fun with the interview. Like Coach Leach looks forward to coming on our show because we talked to him about stuff other than football, which he really appreciates. Like the Coach Leach interview, we got him talking about his pet raccoon he had as a kid that was named Bilbo Baggins, and it just goes off on this crazy tangent. And you can just tell he'd much rather talk about that than kind of the stock college football questions that he gets at most media days and stuff.
Yeah, I listened to that one because I don't know if you're like this, and I don't know. Are you a big college football fan or mostly? Yeah, I mean,
so as far as my fandom,
I know Philly.
Yeah, right. Diehard Eagles. I mean, I like college football a lot. I'll kind of root for Penn State, but I'm not like it doesn't ruin my Saturday if Penn State loses.
Especially when you're betting against them.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm college football. I'm more of an atheist. I just love football and I like betting on it. And sometimes with like college football and college basketball, not having a team that I'm so blindly loyal to does help, I think, by handicapping to some degree. Like I could just come in almost.
That has to help in college football.
Yeah, like I don't have any like preconceived notions about teams or whatever. Whereas like the NFL, I'm thinking back to like stuff. It's like ingrained in my brain what happened in like 6th grade or something like that. So I think my handicapping sometimes is better in college football and basketball. Because I don't have that history like I have with the NFL, where I really, if the Eagles lose, I'm genuinely pissed off. So it's not as emotional. I can be a little more distant with it.
No, that makes sense. That's why I am with hockey. It's an easy sport to me.
So you mentioned you had Mike Leach on the podcast. I actually listened to that interview. I was like, what was your favorite response that you got from the questions that he got on the podcast? I mean, you've seen his post-game interviews or anything he has to do for the press as far as media is concerned, and it's always clippable.
Yeah,
but I wanted to know when you interviewed him, what was the best part of the interview?
The pet raccoon stuff was great when he was talking about how raccoons are attracted to shiny objects, and his mom would just give him the raccoon some pots and pans to play with. That was pretty great. And then he was also talking about I think it was like his brother-in-law had a pet bird that would talk, and it kind of talked in a real creepy way and would talk to the wife, and it would like fly into the room and just go, "Hello, Lisa." And so Mike Leach doing a creepy parrot voice, it's just it's hilarious, So those are the highlights. We've had him on a bunch, talking about like what position Bigfoot would play, power ranking, some of the different mascots, stuff like that. Like, so, anytime you can get him on a tangent, which is relatively easy, it's pretty entertaining.
Well, it's just cool that he hops on. It's just,
he's great.
He's not like he's not busy.
Yeah, no. We always try to get him right before SEC Media Day, because then after that, it's like this guy's going to be slammed. But he's very.
I still can't believe he's in the SEC. By the way,
I know it's.
I bet you guys can't either for following as long as you have.
No,
you're probably like jackpot. Freaking Leach in the SEC.
Exactly. What would you say that Mike Leach was your favorite guest, or do you have some that stuck in your mind that really were like, this is, you came out of that interview, you're just like, God damn, that was a good one.
Yeah, like your bucket list guest that you got.
Yeah. I mean, as far as people we've had on, the Bill Burr interviews we've had on were always super fun, and as a guy who's also a stand-up comic, done a couple of shows with Bill Burr back in the day. But like, I mean, he's just awesome. And honestly too, like he's probably the most challenging interview because he's just like so he's so opinionated, and he's got such funny stuff, but it's almost a challenge because a lot of times when you're doing an interview, your instinct as an interviewer will be like, hey, what about this? You must be, and you kind of lead the interviewer, like, you must really like that, right? And then the person inevitably just kind of goes along to keep the interview going. But Bill Burr, like, he doesn't know.
Fuck that.
Anytime he feels like you're pushing him into a box, he's like, I don't know about that. No, I don't think so. You're not doing that to me. And I would try and I think we had him on, like in 2018 after the Eagles beat the Patriots right? at the Super Bowl. So,
oh shit.
And sorry to bring that up.
You fuck.
But I'm busting his chops, and then he just tears me a new asshole. So, the liveliness of Bill Burr in that interview is awesome, and it's something that's like you got to be so on your toes to kind of it would be like boxing with someone who is just sparring with someone who just has amazing hands and great power as well. So it's challenging, but also super rewarding.
Yeah, I'll have to scroll back and listen to that one.
Yeah, we had him on.
How far back ago was that?
It was probably it was back when we were working with Offshores. So that was probably like 2020, maybe was the last year we had him on. Fall of 2020, had him on a couple times.
You guys are with Win now, right?
Yes. Yep. Win is our presenting sponsor. Been with them a little over a year and a half. And it's been a great relationship. We got a studio that we have access to in Las Vegas in the Win. And that thing is just, it's been amazing.
Yeah, it's sweet.
Yeah, your studio like that's like so the way I caught on to you guys is I just did a YouTube search for sports gambling podcast.
There you go.
How the hell did you get that name? I mean, I guess it wasn't
And the Twitter
available,
name. I mean,
or did you have to
2011.
find somebody
That's
for that
why.
name?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. We actually have a trademark sports gambling
Except for the damn
podcast.
spear here.
So we actually probably could send out a couple of cease and desist letters if we wanted to, but because people try and cram something similar into their description so they can ride our sweet SEO. But yeah, no, again, it was like no one had anything called sports gambling podcast. We said, hey, let's just call it sports gambling podcast. So because we don't have any money for
It seems on the nose, but let's just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a podcast about sports gambling. Okay.
Yeah.
And then so that, and even to this day, you know, we'll maybe spend a little here on ads or whatever, but we certainly don't have a big advertising budget, and word of mouth is huge. And then also, yeah, to your point, people just plug it in Google or Apple Podcasts or YouTube, sports gambling podcasts, and seeing what comes up. And we're almost always top of the list there. So that kind of fortunate to start when we started for a lot of reasons. But yeah, I mean, the fact that no one else had called it the sports gambling podcast, very helpful.
Yeah, Eugene Simmons sports gambling podcast. So
Exactly.
it is trademark. Don't try to take that name and make it for yourself.
No shit.
I noticed like you guys do pretty much like multiple, at least major sports. And you actually go through virtually the entire board. Do you actually bet on those games, like every single game, or do you actually, like, from a bettor, you actually just bet
so
on the ones that you
like
want?
for the NFL, like the NFL is a good example. We'll pick every game against the spread. I'm not going to bet on every game against the spread. We'll usually do like 2 locks and then a money line dog that we like each week. So I'll bet on those, or we'll also break down, like we do the circa handicapping contest where you pick like 5 games against the spread each week. So we'll give those picks out on air as well as part of the episode. So yeah, I mean, I'm usually like an NFL Sunday, I'll probably be betting like 4 to 5 games on that Sunday slate. And then the primetime games I'll probably be hitting earlier on in the season, maybe cool off in the middle and then go back to them towards the end of the season. Depending on how things are going. But to your point, yeah, like I'll give out stuff that I'm not going to bet. But usually like whatever my lock is for the episode or my best bet, I'm definitely getting down on. And as a content person, when I watch other people who are giving out picks, to me it's very obvious the people that are actually betting or not betting, because you can just hear it in their voice when they're pissed off. And I think people find that relatable. Like, oh my God, I just got crushed. All right, here's what we're gonna do to fix it. I suck. I don't want to suck anymore. Here's what we got to do to fix it. So I think that's what people want to hear, is like, if you do bad, you're owning up to it. If you do good, hey, it's fun to celebrate. So that's kind of how
I just want to know that you're a real guy and a real person. And
yeah, exactly.
You hate when you lose too, just as much.
Yeah, no one likes to lose.
It's even worse losing when you give plays.
Yes.
That's what people don't realize.
No, and then honestly, sometimes like if I don't bet it, it's gotten to this point now where just from the shows I'm doing and stuff like that, the emotion of win or loss, it's almost as strong as the financial thing, because like because just the pride of getting it right, or the oh my God, everyone's gonna bust my balls for getting this one wrong, I was going so hard the other way, that almost ends up being worth more than the money, or like more disappointment or excitement.
Yeah, it's always like if you give away 2 plays and you play like 3 more personally.
Yeah,
you'd rather win the 2 you gave out than the 3 you played personally, even though you lose money on that equation.
Yeah, no, totally. And
because you can do
it's just weird. It's just
dance
a weird
on Twitter. That's all you want to
psychological
do, is you just want to do that dance. You want to put the brooms up.
It's just degenerate.
the
It's
emojis.
a degenerate way of thinking, but it's
and honestly, like one of my biggest fears in life is giving out some like crazy long shot parlay that ends up hitting, and then I didn't bet it or something like that. Like that's genuinely my biggest fear.
You a big parlay guy? Do you play a lot of parlays?
Not a lot. I would say I mean, again, like March Madness, my best
parlay
stuff
guy?
was some like round robin money line stuff.
Mhm.
I think if you use them judiciously, they can be pretty good. Like if you're parlaying a couple like money line dogs together on the NFL slate, I like that. So maybe I'll play like one, like for an NFL Sunday, I'll have maybe like one parlay going. I'm not living and dying by parlays. I'm certainly not going to be parlaying like 4 money line favorites or something like that. Like that's not my game at all. I'd rather just go like 2 dogs that I really like on the slate time together, or like my college dog went outright tied with my NFL dog, stuff like that. So I mean, I think they're good to use, in a couple times a week, but not like a ton.
Right.
Yeah. So real quick. So I listened to your Big 12 show today. Not your Big 12 show, I guess your group's Big 12 show.
Yeah.
And so I'm an Oklahoma State fan. I went Oklahoma State graduate. So I'm a huge Big 12 fan. So that obviously caught my interest first of all. So I wanted to hear what you guys were going to say about the Big 12, Oklahoma State, OU, Texas, the big dogs. So a couple of things stood out.
Yes.
Overall, I thought the takes were great. The only take, and you probably don't remember, nobody remembers half the stuff they say on these shows after it ends, was that K-State might be favored at Baylor. And I was thinking, what? There's no way.
Yeah.
But I get it.
I don't know if that was me or whoever.
I don't remember. It might have been Sean, or it might have been who's. So I'm still trying to get the group voices because I was listening. I wasn't watching.
Yeah. So Kramer is my main co-host, and then Colby's the.
So Colby's like the college football guy.
He's like the college football expert. Yeah. I mean, it probably wasn't me, and
they might. I guess they could be, but I don't know. I feel like Baylor's a little bit undervalued this year. Yeah.
I mean, again, I was highest, I think, on the group on Baylor. We all took Baylor over 7.5, but I had Baylor. I was trying to convince Kramer. We did this like futures draft for this experts league thing or something.
Right.
I was trying to talk him into taking Baylor to win the Big 12 at like 7-1, just because I thought, things could get wonky up top. And I thought they were decent. They had a decent shot there. So
I think that's as low as you can go in that conference, and somebody will win it. Like, I think it's either going to be OU. It's really OU or 4 or 5 teams. Like
I heard that. I heard that podcast too. And what drove me nuts is like, do you realize Adrian Martinez is the quarterback for Kansas State?
Hey, but they made a good point with
no, Deuce Vaughn's good.
But they made a good point with Colin. What his name is, the offensive coordinator now, and all they did was that stupid quarterback power run.
You actually look
so annoying. Nobody could stop.
Right. Colby was higher on the Martinez pickup. I was kind of waffling back and forth. Ended up going under 6.5. Yeah. Colby was making the case that they think that he thinks they can put him in a good spot and he won't have those.
I mean, I had heard that. I hadn't heard that take, so I kind of agreed with him, honestly.
Yeah, Colby
just watching K-State and how well they scheme.
Well, and of course our lock of the century last year was KU, which was such a fun.
I remember that one. I remember that podcast because you guys clipped the video.
Oh yeah,
yeah, I remember that one. I think
I don't hate that pick. I like your Oklahoma State under pick. I think 9-3 would be a crazy good season for them.
Yeah, it's just the number. I'm not like down super on the program. It just
no, me neither. They lost a lot, and if Sanders gets hurt, they're fucked. So, but anyway, enough about the Big 12. But there's a little thing you did during that show before you did your Big 12 stuff that made me laugh. It was the Real Men of Dancin.
Oh yeah,
yep. Is that something that's pretty like routine? Is that new? Or is that old?
Yeah, we do that as a running segment, maybe like once a week, every 2 weeks. It's just a fun way to bring up whatever sort of like crazy gambling story that's in the news.
No, I thought that was so smart because everybody loves those commercials. In college, so I was an advertising major in college. So in college, we had to make one of those skits and we had to sing it in front of class.
Oh man.
So it kind of brought me back to that. We had to like make our own, Real Men of Genius commercial.
Oh, that's great.
And sing it, which was kind of, humiliating, but whoever sang that did a good job. He kind of sounded like
yeah, it was just some random, how you can like have hire people on Fiverr to kind of like
yes
whatever.
I was hoping it was one of you guys, but
no, I wish. I mean, I would be happy to sing, but like it kind of kills the joke if the singing's that bad. You know what I mean?
I know.
It was he nailed it. It was great.
So I enjoyed that. That was kind of some of the stuff we were trying to. That kind of made me think, well, that's such a great idea, like a Real Men of Degen.
No, yeah, I mean segments, art stuff like that is great because it gives the listeners like, hey, like people will send in like, hey, you should do this for Real Men of Degens, and so stuff like that's always good, and singing was awesome. So
they play the producer
smart.
role. They just go, hey, they just start giving you stuff, and it's like, oh, make my job easy. I don't have to go look up for a new Real Men of Degen.
Yeah, it was really smart.
Speaking of Degen, is there a sport or a game that you can remember off the top of your head that like I have no business betting this shit, but I'm gonna do it anyways? Is like, and I'm not talking major sports. I'm talking like I'm betting Indian polo that is only on a live stream in New Delhi or something like that. You know what I mean? So is there anything like that sticks in your head that you're like, oh, I can't believe I bet this sport?
Yeah. So during the pandemic, we had our sponsor at the time set up gambling lines, and we would simulate Madden games, simulate college basketball games, and we streamed it so it looked like real Madden people are like a real game. And I hadn't played Madden in so long; it's pretty realistic. And then we would do the play-by-play, and we would also be gambling on the games. So it was.
I think I stumbled upon that during the pandemic.
Those were around. I never bet on them because I
bet on the MLB The Show once.
Yeah, no, yeah.
You just take the over in every game.
I mean, I know the people coming up the lines, they have no idea what they're doing. So it's a crapshoot for both ends. Yeah. But it was just, again, it was something to do at the time when they had no sports.
God, how lame is that to talk about?
What, you didn't like Russian ping pong or KBO? That wasn't enough for you? You had to bet Madden? I miss football so much on betting Madden.
It was kind of fun to watch. It was actually kind of fun. That's how bored we all were.
Oh, yeah. And it was super fun to do the play-by-play.
The play-by-play would be cool.
Yeah, it was great.
Really cool.
So how long have you been doing comedy? Are you still doing comedy now, or are you just like focused on the podcast?
Yeah, I mean, definitely do a ton with the podcast network, but yeah, I mean, I love doing stand-up, do like a weekly show out here in LA, and anytime I can get out on the road, do it as well. And stand-up's great. And yeah, I started stand-up, probably been doing it for like 15 years. Oh, wow. And yeah, it's a similar type thing. You just kind of got to grind at it for a long time. And that album I have out, This Loss Hurts Us All, a lot of it is like sports-based jokes. This Loss Hurts Us All was something my dad yelled after the Eagles got destroyed by the Cardinals on prime time. We were at the game.
In the bus. In the party bus?
Yeah, it was towards the end of the Chip Kelly era. So it was, so my stand-up has a bunch of sports stuff in it, so they can kind of feed off of each other, which is great.
Yeah, I listened to the stand-up today. It was pretty funny. And because I listened to, because he yelled that in the bus.
Yes.
And then the part that made me laugh was when the lady in the audience, what did she do? She like, if you came at her or something, she was a Boston fan or something.
Oh, yes, you're right.
And then you're like, well, fuck you.
Ooh, I'm a Patriots fan.
Yeah.
That was pretty great.
Yeah, that was pretty good. But I wanted to ask you about, so comedy and like sports podcasting, or you're trying to build both of these at the same time, kind of, right? You're trying to build this side and this side kind of independently from each other, but they work together as well. Which one's harder? Which one's more difficult to build from the ground up, a comedy career or a career as a sports podcaster / better? Because both fields are watered down. They're just millions of people are flowing in every day.
No, yeah, that's a good question because obviously it's about separating yourself from the marketplace. And I guess I have to some degree with stand up by talking about sports and sports gambling. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. They both have their kind of unique challenges. Stand up's harder because again, it's just you, and to some degree, you're relying on other people. Like you have to get booked somewhere or the audience and stuff like that, whereas the cool thing about podcasting and stuff like that, you can really just do it on your own and truly be a one-man band there. Stand up,
and I guess the nice part about stand up is that you get like instant feedback.
Yeah.
Like when we're doing this, we can kind of tell if who's watching, I guess, but we don't really have any like you guys are doing a good job or no laughs or claps or
No,
and so I could see that being kind of a differentiator.
Totally. And again, like stand-up's tough too, because to that point, like when the pandemic shut things down, there was no like comedy clubs to go to. So in that sense, you are beholden to the audience and where the audience is, and you have to physically go somewhere or whatever. Podcasting is, I guess, easier in the sense that like you can do it on your own terms, whatever time you want to do it. Like I could decide to do a show 4 a.m. tomorrow, record it, put it out, whatever. Right. Where you can't do a stand-up comedy show at 4 a.m. I mean, you could, but everyone will just be, on drugs or just waking up and just it's not the kind of vibe you want.
I think podcasting was that was where comedians kicked the door down. I think that really exposed a lot of. I mean, I listen to comedy podcasts and I listen to sports gambling during football season, but like this season, I'm just listening to all comedy. And one of my enjoyments when listening to comedy is watching people bomb. And as a comedian, I want to know the worst bomb story that you've ever had in comedy.
Oh man, that's tough. Because there are so many times where it's just like the audience sucks or you suck. Again, there's like so many things you have to get right. It's tough for me to think of like one that completely stood out. I mean, this didn't end up being bombing, but I wasn't doing great. And then it was at this bar, and this crazy guy stormed the stage and like and was like shoving it in front of my face. And I'm like, dude, what the hell? Get out of here. And he came up again. And then I had to physically toss him off the stage. And then I just went on this crazy rant about, hey, you don't know what art is. And I used to wrestle in middle school. I'm going to take you outside and pin you on the ground. I just kind of completely went unhinged. So not necessarily bombing, but that was a pretty like wild story.
Well, that's what you get for making an alopecia joke. I mean,
there you go.
I mean, you kind of.
It was Will Smith.
You kind of fucked yourself there.
Fellow Eagles fan, yeah.
Fellow Eagles fan. Well, real quick, I think we're going to get into some picks maybe, but I wanted to ask you. So you're a Philadelphia sports fan. I already know your answer for number one, but I kind of want to hear your tier ranking for pro sports teams top to bottom. I'm guessing the Eagles are by far and away your number one.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Team, right?
Yep. Give me the Eagles all day.
All right. So what are 2, 3, and 4 kind of in your hierarchy of?
Yeah, I mean,
how you care about them.
They're kind of neck and neck. So I would just go right now because the Sixers. I don't know. I would go Sixers, Phillies, and then Flyers. I mean, I love watching hockey, but also like honestly, I just really kind of get into it more during NHL playoffs and stuff like that. Flyers have been in the playoffs for a little bit here. They've been ice cold. So yeah, I would go Sixers number 2 because I love Embiid. I was against the process, but Embiid's cool to have on the team, and hopefully they figure it out. Didn't love Harden, but certainly an upgrade over Ben Simmons. And then Phillies have been interesting this season for sure, and just kind of more relevant since they got Harper. But I would go Eagles by a wide margin, then Sixers, Phillies, Flyers.
So real quick before we move on, was that Harden contract? Was that the new 2-year deal he's just signed? Was that a discount thing? Because didn't he say he wanted to like take way less money so they could get better players?
Yeah,
what do you take? Like 30 something, 33 million a year. It was a fucking
Yeah,
insane. It's an insane amount of money.
NBA is weird because it's like, you can kind of, it's not a hard cap, so there's the luxury tax and everything. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Harden kind of looked cooked, but maybe you can figure it out.
I agree.
Well, you've been a great guest, and we want to get into some picks, and we want to keep you in here. So, let's do the Dadbodd's Capper breakdown.
Let's do it
with Sean Green from the Sports Gambling Podcast.
It is time for the Dadbodd's Capper breakdown.
Oh yeah.
So who's gonna start? Pun me?
Man, you go ahead. I don't know if I have a pick. I'm waiting for a Red Sox. It's probably gonna be the Red Sox money line.
All right, I'll give two because I got to give one tonight, and it's gonna start at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm gonna be going with the San Francisco Giants money line, first 5 innings. Rodon is on the bump for San Francisco, 6-1-1 in his last 8 starts after 5 innings, 6-1 at home. Mike White is going to be starting for the LA Dodgers. He's only faced Pittsburgh, Colorado, and San Diego at home. He's 0-1-1 in those starts at home, and he's 1-4-3 in his last 8 starts after 5 innings. So I may be walking into the Rodon trap. Dad joke. Give me the cheese. I'm riding with the San Francisco money line, first 5 innings. And I think it's a dog too.
Yeah, so I already posted the no-run first inning for that Giants-Dodgers game.
Yeah.
So I'll roll with that, even though it's fucking lame. That's a nerfy. But I think it's a good spot.
Yeah. And I lean under first 5 innings in the San Diego New York Mets game tomorrow because Scherzer and Darvish are on the mound.
Do you have anything you're betting tonight, Sean?
Yeah, so I already lost on the A's and Marlins. Marlins have like 40 scoreless innings, so thank you very much, Marlins. The other thing I gave out, I don't mind your first 5, but I do think the Dodgers get it done. I got -1.5 on the run line, +140 for the Dodgers at home. I like them. I like them in this spot. They didn't have to travel for the All-Star game. They're just dominant on the run line, 53-37, 25-18 on the run line at home. And last time Rodon came into town, they beat him 3-1, so they got the cover there. Mitch White, to your point, not great, but his home ERA pretty solid. So I think the Dodger Pats are going to carry him. So I like them on the run line -1.5.
So we're going Giants Dodgers. Fucking
getting serious here.
I like it, and none of us overlap.
Yep. So we do this with every guest. We do a segment called Fade and Tail. So it's basically, you either love one and hate one. It's almost like an F, Marry, Kill.
Okay.
But we're gonna take you down this. It's the Philly version, of course. I'll start with Fade Tail. Philly, Eagles, and Sixers. I think we already talked about this one, but I think you said tail the Eagles, correct?
Yeah, tail the Eagles, go Birds, first and foremost.
Okay. So second pick, college football Saturday or NFL Sunday, fade or tail?
Oh, come on. NFL is king.
That one.
College football Saturdays are fun, but let's be honest. Sunday is the big day.
All right, let's get to the real questions. God damn it. All right, fade or tail, Joel Embiid or James Harden?
Oh my God. Harden, complete fade. That dude wants nothing to do with basketball. Seems like a fun guy to hang out with at a strip club, but not a guy you want to be a big part of your championship plan. And Embiid's the man. I mean, I'd like to see a little bit more fire out of him sometimes on the court. He gets a little whiny at times, but other than that, I'm all over the process, aka Embiid.
He also likes to look overweight when he wants to get traded too.
Yeah, exactly.
Me too.
Fade or tail? This is an Eagles question. Santa Claus or Emmitt Smith?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to fade both. I mean, Emmitt Smith, he's a Dallas Cowboy. No, don't need any more explanation. And Santa Claus, come on, 1 Super Bowl in 60 years. We got to do better, Santa. So
I thought you were gonna ask Guns. I thought you were gonna do like an Energizer versus Duracell. What's your battery of choice?
Battery in there, yes.
Well, I wanted to allude to how Philly fans are the worst fans on the planet. And
Well, see, that's a trick question because no one, when you buy batteries to throw, you don't buy name brand, you buy generic. Come on, that's rookie move there to buy Energizers. Those things are expensive. You got to go like Walgreens.
Spoken like a true Philly fan. I mean, see, that's what separates you from the masses.
Or you just try to reach into the recycling, like
he probably keeps his old batteries. He probably keeps his old batteries that are dead, just for throwing.
No, you put them in the freezer. They're good.
Juice them back up.
So trash. This one's a tough one because it deals with people on the network. I said fade or tail, Ryan Kramer or Colby.
Oh, okay. It depends on the sport. So if we're talking college basketball, I'm gonna fade Ryan and tail Colby. If we're talking NFL, fading Colby all day and tailing Ryan.
Perfect.
Such a nice host. I mean, that's how you do it. That's how you keep.
Everyone's got their specialty.
Stay down the middle. Well, I want to thank Sean Green for joining the Dadbodd podcast. If you want to follow him on Twitter, it's at Sean T Green on Twitter. So please give him a follow and tell him the Dadbodd sent you if you want. And also check him out on YouTube at the Sports Gambling Podcast. It's absolutely electric, absolutely efficient, and I'm fucking jealous of their studio. But that's going to do it for Dadbodd's episode number 87. Till next time, we have a special guest on 88. We'll get to that next week. But till next time, peace.
See you, dude.
Later, guys.
Thanks.